Welcome back, Professor C here with Chapter 2, Module 2. We're going to work with the ls command-a, ls-l, ls-la, ls-ls. You can read the rest, as well as the wildcard characters of the star and the question mark. So we're going to put this to the side, and we're going to get going. So, where am I in the file system right now, I ask you? If you said the top of the file system, you are absolutely correct. I'd like you to change back to your home directory. And you have multiple ways of doing it, such as cd/home b Candido, and of course you would replace b Candido with your home directory. You could also do the tilde, or just plain cd with nothing else. Do a confirmation we are in our home directory with the pwd, or look at the prompt. If you see the tilde, you're right where you need to be. Okay, so let's do an ls-l to get a long list of what's in my home directory. And yours should look pretty similar to this. You may have some other files in there. What I like to do right now is have you do the history command with the redirect hist.txt. We learned this in Chapter 1 in one of the learning modules. And let's do the calendar for 3 months. And let's put into a file called cal.txt. We're going to come back to this a little later. I'll wait here for a moment so you can get caught up to me. All right, I'm going to clear the screen. I'm going to do an ls-la. Remember the difference here is I see the hidden file. So I see the dot, which is my dot is my current directory. The dot is my parental directory. These are hidden files. Here's the cal.txt we just created, and there should be a hist.txt right here. So these are the different files and directories. Directories are in blue, files are in green. The D over here tells you that's a directory. And these 3 characters here say the owner. So this is the owner, this is the group, this is the size, the last modified date, and the name. These 3 characters stand for read, write, and execute for the owner. The next 3 right here are the group permissions. And these 3 are for all others. I'm the owner, and a group is an ability for me to group people together to give permissions. For example, if everyone in the class was enrolled into a student group, I could give permissions to the student group, and it would then filter down to each individual student. And that would prevent me from having to set up permissions for 30 individual students. We're going to come back and talk about permissions a little later. I want to introduce you to the ls-l capital S, and see if you can figure out how it sorted the data. Or the output, I should say. It's not by name. It's by size. Notice the capital S means sort by size. And if I up arrow and I put a T in there, what do you think the T could stand for? It asks for long list, listing with details, and the T stands for transaction date. So it puts the newer stuff at the top that was modified, and the older stuff at the bottom. We use this quite a bit in the industry because if something stopped working, we would look at the configuration files, see what was changed last. I'm going to clear the screen, and we can actually do this. We can do an L-A-S capital S little r. We used to call that the laser. Long list all files by size in reverse order. By putting the R, small files sizes are at the top, larger at the bottom. And I can do the same thing with the T. Have the older stuff at the top and newer stuff at the bottom. So I hope you have an understanding of that. What I want to introduce you to is now the wildcards. So I'm going to clear the screen. I'm going to do an ls-l, and we'll stay with this. I can apply something called a filter. So I'm going to do an ls-l, and I'm going to do star.txt. So this is a good time to go over the file names. This is the file name. Well, the whole thing's the file name. This is called the base, and this is called the extension. Windows uses the same file naming conventions that Unix invented many years ago. So the file name and the extension. So what I'm saying here is I don't care what comes before the dot, but it has to end with text. So this is a filter. It will look through the listing in the directory and only return the ones to me that meet this criteria. And you can see that this list up here gets filtered down to cal.txt and hist.txt because I put an asterisk in front of it. And I can modify it and do this as well. What do you think this is going to do? If you said it's going to give me any file that begins with an H and ends with txt, you are correct, and my filter gets even smaller. I do want to show you something in Windows. This filtering works as well. I can go here, and I'm clearly in Windows, and do this. And .docx is Microsoft Word files. You can see I filtered right here. So this wildcarding works in Windows as well as in DOS, and of course where it originated in Unix. So I'm going to get rid of that, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to clear the screen. Another thing you can use is the question mark. So I'm going to do an ls-l question mark .txt. And what do you think that's going to do? The question mark is a wildcard, but it takes the place of only one character, where the star took place of one to many. So right here, I am asking for a filter to be applied in my current directory listing for any file that begins with 3 positions and ends with text. And it should just pick that up, which it did. In my examples, when I do an ls, it only lists the contents of the directory I'm in. If I wanted to go look at the configuration files in Unix, one way to do that is I could do a cd, go to the top of the file system and down to the second level. And let me see if I still have my window open here. I do. So I'm here in my home directory. I can go up here to here, and I can look at the etc directory. I could actually physically change into that directory, and then I could do an ls command. Now that works. There's a dangerous point of view to this, is I'm presently in that directory. And that means I can inadvertently cause damage. So I'm going to return back to my home directory. Am I in my home directory? And the answer to that question is yes. See the tilde? If you don't believe me, I do a PWD. Look what I can do. I can say stay where I am, but show me the contents of the etc directory. So this is my command. This is my option or switch. And here's my parameter saying I want to look at that directory. And look, I can do that by looking at what's in there, and you can see there's a lot of configuration files there. But I did it from the safety of my home directory. Oh, I gotta learn how to spell clear. All right, so I want to show you something. We learned about wildcarding and filtering. So I can apply a filter. When you get there, so give me a list, long format of the etc directory, any file that begins with an S and ends with conf. A lot of people want to write this a different way, but it won't work, but this will work. So how it works is give me a list, long format of the etc directory, and when you get there, apply this filter. Only files that begin with an S and end with conf. And did that seem to have worked? And it did. A lot of people think you can do this. Pass it 2 parameters. One parameter being the directory you want to look at, and the other one being the filter. It doesn't give you an error, but it just won't show you these files. It will actually show you everything. So, to do it properly, kind of mash it up. Put /etc. And the trick is you have to have at least one space between the command, the switch, and the parameter. So notice /etc, / I need this slash here, which says once you get to the etc directory, filter it. All right, and you can actually use the singular positional wildcard. So I can do this. What do you think this is going to do? If you said, give me a list in the long format of the etc directory to any configuration file that is 3 positions to the left of the dot ends with conf. And look, 1, 2, 3, conf, SOS conf. So that worked out quite nicely.